Chapter 2. The Author. I am unable to imagine an adjective ugly enough, forceful enough, horrific enough to describe my existence. The trauma to my body, my mind, my emotions, and every other part of me comes in waves and spikes and ebbs and flows, like flames tossed out by the winds of a tornado. But worse than being immersed in a fire that will never consume me, will never annihilate me, worse even more than being burned alive forever and tormented by my thoughts, is having perfect clarity as to why I'm here. Where is here? Where am I? Please, someone please ask a question of me so I can answer it and have the satisfaction of knowing I have imparted even a single experience, a bit of wisdom to someone. Please, 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 please. All the money I ever made, I would gladly give for a few seconds of conversation. But what would I use the time for? I'd probably rant and rave and try to convince the person of how the author wronged me. I would argue and say it's his fault I'm here in this place of the damned. Isn't he the one who made me? He is the one who stole my future by not allowing me to be born into a different family or a different country or any number of different circumstances so that I would have had someone convince me of him. Why did the author help others through their lives? Why were they allowed to have enjoyable jobs, better families, and to live around people who truly valued them? I would tell the person I was conversing with that if I deserve to be here, they do as well. No, what am I saying? I'm so sorry. I don't want anyone to suffer as I am. I am so sorry. Grief overcomes me and I crumble, racked with the awareness that comes with utterly transparent self-realization. I am despicable and reckless enough to have walked away from love when it was shown to me. I am like the scuba diver who prepares for the adventure, learns everything about the equipment and the water, and then on the day I dive, I do everything correctly except I don't fill my oxygen tank. How could I have not accepted any of the help the author sent to me in the form of friends and relatives and strangers and even his book? Why did I mock instead of paying attention to his warnings or listening to theirs? I remember turning them all away and knowing I am not here because of his decision or the life I'd been given to live, but rather because of my decision to turn from him. I couldn't have made such a choice, could I? No, it's not possible, is it? This can't be real, can it? If only I could believe I'm hallucinating. If only I could delude myself into imagining I'm only dreaming. Then I could have hope that I will, one day, cease to exist, that my suffering will end. But I know the truth. I'm not dying. I'm not hallucinating. I'm not dreaming. I am alive and not at all well. The brutality of my self-inflicted punishment will never be finished. The author said I would be here forevermore. I believe him now. I know he took no pleasure in throwing me into this pit. I remember the tears in his eyes when I realized I'd condemned myself to this place. I remember his face and the way he... Oh no, not the memory of his face. Please, anything but that. My hands reach for my eyes. My fingertips claw at them, trying to tear them from their sockets. My fingernails bite into my eyes and they come away sticky. But I don't know, am I successful? Yes, I'm sure of it. My memory is pristine. I remember the first time I ripped my eyes from my body and they regrew. Much like the guard's ear that was chopped off by the fisherman, the one who denied that he knew the author. Only I'm not favored by the author's kind touch. My eyes regrow here because, as it would be there where he lives, my body will survive forever. I reel from the horrible, gut-wrenching ache where my eyes used to be and still are. Why are you letting me suffer? What did I do that was so bad? I try to pretend I don't know the answer to my question, but I do, and I am ashamed. Deeply, boldly ashamed. I am ashamed because I know this hell is my personal hell, and anything I conceive of doing to myself will never be as horrible as what I did to him. No, not him. Not him. I remember I was trying not to remember him. My body convulses from the fear and the shame and the sadness that always sweeps through my body when I remember seeing him. I mustn't allow myself to remember him. I run. At least I think I'm running, attempting to exhaust myself, but I can't. At least I can't in the sense that it's impossible to exhaust myself when I already have almost no strength to begin with. I remember waking up one morning after being so ill the doctors called it a miracle I had not died. I had very little strength, so little I could scarcely drag myself to the bathroom. I remember looking into the mirror and thinking I looked deranged and like a wax figure. My eyes were drawn and dark, my skin pale and clammy, even my hair was dingy and oily. I felt terrible, pitiful, helplessly puny, but so much better than I do now. Let me feel that good once more, just for a moment. This body I have, my eternal body, doesn't tire, and yet I am exhausted. It doesn't truly break or decompose, yet I am eaten by worms day and night, like the king in the author's book, who was eaten by worms and then died. If only I could just die, be annihilated, blotted out, eradicated from existence. But my body won't burn away, even though I exist in an invisible fire so hot it draws the breath from my lungs. Please kill me, have mercy! Even as I beg the author, I try not to think of him. But I do. I see him as he truly is. Pure love, truth, mercy, grace, justice, divine, joyful, beautiful. I know him, but he never knew me. I know now that he told the truth about this place. No, I always knew he had told the truth about hell, but I denied the truth because I wanted to deny him. And now the author has sentenced me, and I hate him for allowing me to choose my fate. I boasted to those who knew me. I'd rather be condemned in hell than to be the slave to a God who is so pathetic he must be worshipped to feel superior. I lied to them and tried to believe it myself. But I understood I wouldn't be a slave to him. The author revealed that to me in his book. He wanted me as his child and his friend, not as a slave. I tried to lie to myself by arrogantly insisting to others that if he would condemn me to a place of torment forever, I was better than him. So why did I choose this place over a relationship with the author? Ego, pure and simple. How foolish I was to allow myself to choose not to choose him just because I wanted to live my life the way I wanted to live it. I wanted to believe the thought I kept in the back of my mind, the thought that I could at any time before I died, even on my deathbed, tell him I believed in him, and then he would have to forgive me. It didn't matter that others who followed the author told me, that's not what those words mean. What did they know? Fools, I called them. I sneered at the way they lived their lives. I said that they were fools for being trapped and tricked into getting together and singing to and worshiping a God none of them had ever seen, and for giving their hard-earned money to him. They were worse than simpletons for believing the author knew what's best for us. The book they so adored said we put ourselves in peril of hellfire when we have sex outside of marriage. That's ridiculous, I said. Murder, child abuse, rape, and even conning people out of their life savings I could see as hell-worthy. But to tell everyone that things like getting drunk, practicing homosexuality, praying to other gods, and lust could condemn someone to hell, and that only the author could keep them from coming here? That was shockingly disgraceful to me. I laughed at these people for praying and begging and pleading for me, for my salvation. I watched them with loathing as, just like idiots, they laughingly and joyfully put people before themselves because they said the author was their example of how to treat others. But now, how I wish I had accepted that they had been taught by him. They had accepted that he deserved their devotion. They truly believed he would use what they offered him of themselves and their possessions to help others. What no one seemed to know is he would also give them the credit for what he had done and with what he already owned, which was everything they had. It was unfair, completely unfair. He shouldn't have done that. He was being taken advantage of by people just like me, hypocrites. They lusted after others and what was not theirs, just like me. They were thieves, gluttons, envious. They enjoyed fleshly delights just like me. But when they accepted his love, he promised to change them. It was me who refused to be changed. And until I personally stood before the author, I refused to accept this truth. I am the fool. The author, when I met him, was full of love and compassion and tears. His tears I remember more than anything. Above all else, I remember he was crying for me. And even as I stood in front of you, I knew why. You loved me so much. You had given me choice after choice after choice. And you had made certain I had every bit of information about you to make my choice. Yet I chose money or people or possessions or my own misguided, misapplied pride, sometimes all at once, over you. As I stood before the author, I tried telling him I didn't really have a choice because of where I was born, or because of the color of my skin, or because of my parents, or because of anything I could think of. But I knew I was lying, and I knew he knew I was lying. So I stood in silence, shattered. I dishonored his sacrifice for me. I chose foolish things over the one person who truly loved me. Even though he knew all of my frailties, I used to feel so superior when I'd tell one of his followers, if I knew the author was real, of course I would choose him. But I can't say with certainty that he is real, or that the quaint book you claim is his story for me is real. It was, after all, written by men. But I did know. Oh God, I did know. I did. I try to hate them, his kids, but I can't even muster an indignant sigh, let alone hate. While they are having fun with other people there, I am hidden away from everyone here. No one can find me, and even if they know where I am, they don't have pity in their hearts because they know what I know. We both know. I locked myself in this cell. A cell with no walls, no doors, no windows, no shape, no form, no distance, no escape. If there were only one thing I could purge from my memory, it would be my recollection of him. But I know I will never, ever forget the author. His image haunts me. His beautifully scarred brow from those horrible thorns they pushed into his head as a way of mocking him for being a king of the Jews, when he is in fact the King of Kings. The wonderful holes in his hand and feet that prove his obedience to his Father. The sweet ribbons of flesh hanging from his back, reminding me of how he paid for my disobedience. The glorious wound in his side, the one that leads to the pure heart that was punctured after he died on the cross. Beautiful, wonderful, sweet, glorious, pure. All of these qualities I spat upon. How could I have been so willfully blind?